It may seem like a fantastic shortcut to copy the tags and title from a competitor's listing. But today we're going to talk about why this is a terrible idea. Stick around and save yourself some pain on this episode of The Jam. What is up? Welcome to The Jam. I'm Gordon from Marmalead.
I'm Richie from Marmalead.
And today we're going to be talking about a fun little topic. We've had this comment before by people. It's come through in support questions. We've seen this all over the place on social media and especially in the Etsy forums, and recently got a comment about this on one of our YouTube videos. So first let me share the comment and then we're going to address this. This person says, I tried copying the exact title and tags and descriptions from top sellers that were new, almost the same starting date as mine, and almost the same products. But I haven't even gotten 1% of the results that they're seeing. Obviously, this is super tempting. It's super tempting to copy just straight up tags and title. Descriptions aren't necessary. Like, you don't have to copy those. Etsy SEO doesn't really use those. Google does, but you kind of don't want to copy anything really. But it's super tempting to do that because it looks like it's going to be a huge time saver for you. It looks like, well, these people are having success, right? Like if someone does a search and they're showing up at the top, clearly they picked the right keywords to show up there. So let me just grab what they're doing and assume that it's going to work for me. You know, I'm going to save a lot of my time, some money, if instead of paying for a product to help me figure out what keywords I should be using, or instead of paying that listing fee to keep relisting my listing because I'm trying out a bunch of different keywords and I don't know what's going to work. Clearly they're working for other people and it'd be awesome if they worked for me. It's an easy trap to fall into.
Of course, everyone wants a formula, everyone wants a blueprint, everyone wants the step-by-step.
So why doesn't this work? There's a whole bunch of reasons why this doesn't work. The top 3 things that show up in Etsy search aren't necessarily the top performing things for that keyword. There's a chance that they are, but Etsy has been really leaning into personalized search. The whole goal of Etsy's search is to be showing the customer things that Etsy thinks that person is going to buy. Yes, they need to be relevant to what the person searched, and they want to show them the best things that are there, but they also want to be showing them things that they think, their algorithm thinks that those people are going to buy, which means that different shoppers are going to be seeing different products, and Etsy's going to be changing the order of those products around. Their whole goal with search isn't to just show you what the best performing listings are. It's to land the sale. That's what they're trying to do. And so that's what everything is working towards. And if you're looking at search as the assumption that Etsy is showing you the best things for that keyword, you're kind of already starting off on the wrong foot.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, Etsy also doesn't want to just show the top sellers all the time. Whatever the top sellers actually are not necessarily what Etsy's going to put up there because they want variety. Etsy is about variety. It's about boutique experience. It's not, the top seller store. Here you go. Like, here's 5 things up there. Also, keep in mind that just because a listing is going to perform well for one keyword doesn't mean it's going to perform well for the other 12 tags it's using. So when you're copying the whole listing and you think, okay, boom, here you go, you don't really know how this is working, right? You don't know where it's coming from, what searches, the context-specific results, the personalized search, right? The things that Etsy thinks you're buying. We're all different. If I search something, it's going to be different than what Gordon is getting in results. And even if I search right now, it's going to be different later in the day because they're constantly testing things. And obviously, if I searched it and didn't buy something earlier and then I search it later, whatever they didn't work. So they're probably going to try something different, see if I will buy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things to keep in mind is that there are multiple keywords on each listing. It's not like Etsy just lets you put one on there, right? So if I did a search for gnome house and this listing goes up right at the front, now I assume that because it's showing up there, all of its keywords are good. Well, let's say it has like 5,000 sales or something like that, and the shop's only a year old. And I'm like, wow, that's impressive. This is clearly set up well. So I'm going to grab gnome house and all the other keywords it's using. It could be that, it shows up first for Gnome House, but 95% of its sales are coming from a completely different keyword, one of those other things that's on the listing. It could have built up cred for that keyword over time. You have no idea that you're even going to be able to rank for that keyword. And here you are thinking that it's set up well for Gnome House because it shows up at the front and it's getting a bunch of sales for Gnome House, when in fact, all of its sales and traffic are coming from a completely different keyword that it's using on there.
The other 12 tags could be complete garbage and you're better off with using something completely different. But You won't know that because if it's not your shop and you're just trying to copy it from the outside, you're trying to look blindly through basically a one-way mirror.
And we touched on this a little bit ago, but there is that keyword cred to consider too, where listings as they exist on Etsy for certain keywords, Etsy starts to learn how well are these things performing for those keywords. When I show them to people, are people clicking them? And every time someone clicks in a listing from doing a search, like that's a little thumbs up. Etsy's like, oh, cool. All right, I did a good job. That's a good thing for this listing. And when a listing gets a sale because they did a search and click through for that keyword, that's even better. But there's this whole sense of keyword cred. If you copy another listing's keywords, they might have a massive amount of credibility built up for these keywords, even if they've only been running for maybe a couple months. Etsy's going to be throwing things at them and already building that credit up. And so you can't necessarily assume that because you're using those same keywords, you're going to have that same sort of success right off of the bat. It could take a while, or it might not ever even happen for you because you've never built up the credibility for those keywords.
Yeah, we've definitely talked about kind of stair-stepping keywords, starting with something with lower competition that you can actually get found for, and then moving your way up as, you build that track record. Because again, it's all about what Etsy actually thinks is going to get you sold. I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in to the Jam by Marmalead. Marmalead helps guide you to keywords that real Etsy shoppers are using, so you can get more sales doing what you love. Check out Marmalead in the link in the description or at marmalead.com. All right, so the other thing to consider is non-SEO traffic. And again, you've got no idea what they're doing as far as that goes, right? So as far as ads, social media, a mailing list, killer promos in their packaging that goes out and it's sending people back to their Etsy shop to buy more stuff, coupons. All of these things are non-SEO sources, of course, work hand in hand, right? Like you want to do all these things. But again, looking at from the outside and you're just trying to copy their tags, copy their titles, copy what they're doing, you don't see this. And we've talked to other people to coaches specifically that have run into this with other sellers where they try this and then they have a little bit of knowledge behind the shop and they're like, oh yeah, so what this shop is actually doing is they've got this awesome mailing list they've been building for a long time. And that's where a lot of those sales are coming from. So it's not what you think it is.
Let's take a step back here and let's assume that you steal someone else's title and tags, you use it on your own listing, and it's perfect. It's performing for you exactly as it's performing for them. We've already kind of walked through why that's likely not going to be the case, but let's assume it is. You're having the same success that they are and you're showing up in search results. You're still not seeing the results that they're seeing. They're blowing you out of the water. You've got 1% of their results. And that's because there's so many other things that come into play than just being able to show up in search. Photos are a huge component for whether or not you're going to get clicked for a keyword. It's fantastic to have good SEO and show up for something, but if your photos aren't better than the ones around you, the chances of you getting clicked for that keyword aren't very good. You want to make sure that your photos are killer and that when people do a search and you show up for that, you're compelling them to click on your listing because your photos look amazing. They're eye-catching. People want to learn more and see that product and drill into it. So photos are huge, right? Now, obviously, there's other things too. Your pricing. You could be way out of line in your pricing for these things. Your descriptions come into play at a certain point too. The number of reviews that you have and what those reviews say about your shop. There's so many other factors that come into play for whether or not you're going to see success on Etsy from your keyword strategy than just the keywords themselves.
Yeah, and those are intangible things that you really can't copy that. Even if you knew about it, you're not going to be able to copy those things. Something else to consider is that shopping is seasonal. So if you are looking at these shops and you're saying, wow, they're so successful, I'm going to copy their stuff, and you are copying them right outside of a busy season, you're like, wow, they sold a whole bunch of winter gear, and that's awesome. Like, I'm going to copy all this stuff. Boom, why is this not working? It's summer, okay? You're not going to sell mittens in the summer. Something that did just awesome last season is not necessarily going to work right now, right? So you're looking hindsight versus forecasted out for what's actually going to happen. Super important. Super important with every aspect of your keywords.
So what do you do? We can't just leave you with that. What do you actually do instead of doing that? How do you make that work? Well, shameless plug, use Marmalead. And what you can do if you really want to spy, if you really want to look at those top listings and say like, all right, here's those 13 tags that they have on their listing. Put those tags through Marmalead to get a better sense of how those actual tags are performing and how those keywords might do for your own shop. So if you see that they're using a tag that has like 0 searches and 0 engagement, well, don't bother putting that one on your listing. And likewise, if you see one that has amazing search and engagement, but it has crazy high competition, well, you might not want to put that one on your listing right off the bat either. You might want to wait till you build up some credibility for your listing with Etsy and then start to target and attack those more competitive keywords at that point. So yeah, that's fine. You can spy on people and see what they're doing, but don't just blindly use the keywords. You want to do your own research on those keywords too. And so putting those into Marmalead and getting a good sense of, how they're performing and which ones might be stronger than other ones is a fantastic way to handle that.
And also consider it's not just going to be perfectly straightforward. Just because this is the tag doesn't mean that's the keyword. You want to consider combinations of tags as keywords. Because remember, keyword is not just a word, it's a phrase. It's what goes into search. It's not necessarily words. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4 keywords. It's whatever goes into search. So consider those tag combos. And that's something we consider in our grading in Marmalead. But Etsy's, the reason we do that is because Etsy's looking for those.
And another reason that you're in Marmalead and you're doing this keyword research anyway is you're going to be seeing some high-performing long-tail keyword variations of those keywords. So if I throw one of those keywords in there and it's not long-tail and it has insanely high competition, well, we're going to show you long-tail alternatives for that keyword simply because it's not a long-tail keyword. And look through those and see if any of those are going to work for you. Could you use any of the long-tail variations of that keyword that are even more relevant to your listing and that are going to be bringing you more people that are likely to be making a purchase than people who are just browsing and searching?
Also, again, consider seasonality. I'm not sure we can even say this ever enough. Seasonality, it's so important. I mean, Etsy is retail, right? And look at the physical shops around you. Everything is seasonal, right? Bathing suits are out in the summer. Winter hats and gloves are out in the winter. Seasonality is so important. So when you're doing this research, don't just look at, what's happening right now or what happened last month or the month before. Look at what's coming, because that's what you want to be prepared for. That's what you want to be ready for.
And lastly, we've said this before, but it's super important to test and measure the changes that you're making in your shop. So yes, Marmalead can help you find keywords that look like they're going to be fantastic for your shop and for your listings. Use those. Test them, make sure that they work for you. So put them on your listing. And then after 2 or 4 weeks, check back into your stats, see if you're getting visits from those keywords. Measure your success with those keywords. There's no way for Marmalead to tell you that a keyword is 100% going to work for you. The only way to know it is to try it and see if Etsy confirms like shoppers think this is a great keyword and we're able to find you and you show up and everybody's happy. So measure that stuff. And when you're looking and you find ones that like, hey, look, I'm not getting any visits or views for this keyword, replace it. That's fine. Keep the ones that are generating the traffic for you. Don't touch those. Don't change your titles so that those are being removed or remove those from your tags when you're reworking a listing. Keep the stuff that's working. Replace the ones that aren't generating any traffic for you and try to replace those with better ones which are generating traffic. Kind of a rinse and repeat sort of thing.
I mean, consider blogs and YouTube channels and stuff like that, right? Even the big ones, they don't get all their views from one post or one video, right? It's from a bunch of them. Sure, some are going to be more successful than others. And of course, you're always trying to make the next one the most successful and the next big thing. But it's that combination. It's that there's 100 of them, which makes it a lot easier to get the views. And in Etsy, right, it'd be also about getting those visits and getting those sales. But it's about having as many, fishing lines, right? You go fishing, and if you have one hook in the water, well, that's your opportunity. A fish better go get that one. But if you're out there and you have 50, any one person might come off with nothing or with one. But if you count all the fish coming off from all 50 of them, there's a whole bunch.
We wish you the best of luck in your fishing endeavors and hope that you catch all of the good fish in the sea too. But hopefully this helps you. It's tempting, right, is a good word. It's really tempting to look at someone else's keywords and just use those and be like, done. That's not gonna work for you. We've outlined why and hopefully gave you some input on how you can actually have success with finding keywords on Etsy. We wish you the best and we'll see you guys next time on The Jam.